Hello everybody, my name is Theo Black and today I'm going to show you how to make this bass line. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, I started making this from a synth patch that I actually bounced. The initial sound was this. Which, I mean, this part right here is the one that I actually use in the beginning of every bar. Right, this one. So, first of all, let's get to making the synth patch. Now, I'm just going to make a Thor right off the bat and, show to you how to make this from scratch. First of all, go for mono legato, turn on portamento. Just don't touch it at all. Just leave it at 40. Crank these up. They're not really gonna do anything, at our filters. Take down the envelope completely, and take off any filters. Put it on bypass, and this is the sound you should be having. Right at about that height, an octave 4. I can't remember how high the note I'm playing is, but it doesn't really matter. So. We're gonna go for phase cancellation, which is something we usually do, which is super saws. But because the sound we're gonna make cannot be made by standard phase cancellation, we're gonna be using phase cancellation through amplitude modulation, through the FM fader over here. So make sure you're only sending oscillator 1 to filter 1, and then go to oscillator 2, take it down 1 octave, on octave 3, and start tuning up the fader. Then tune it down. Right now you're getting a much clearer phase cancellation. Right? So what we're going to do next is make state variable filter, use a notch. Now just mess around to find the amount of resolution I want. This seemed too much. I went about at this, at 9 o'clock. Maybe it was 10 o'clock. Maybe it was 11:15. I don't know. Now, send that to filter 2, and remember to send filter 2 to amp, or you wouldn't be able to hear anything. There we go. Now, I know I wanted to make some sweeps, so I used a comp filter. Did I use minus or plus? I can't remember. It's on plus. It's comp plus. Right, so I really just knew I wanted to make some sweeps. So alt-click each thingy you want to automate, and what you can simply go and do is, put down a note. This is Guide to Experimentation right here. Right, just make a bar of sound, a bar of audio, and then start, randomly automating the filters. You're bound to come up with, come on, you're bound to come up with something fun. Right. You get them an idea, right? This is more or less how I went to come up with the automations I wanted. Now, after this, you're more or less done. If I remember correctly, with the synth patch, yeah, we made pretty much everything. So, moving on to the next part, I'm not gonna create that part. I'm just gonna show you. So, yeah, let me get back to the baseline. Okay, how do we get from this, measly patch to that over here, right? So, first of all, I forgot to mention that everything we're going to be making is going through a maximizer. After the mixer, this is the on the master bus. I don't know. It's in the master channel. It's on the master routing. I don't care. But right before it exits Reason, it's going through a maximizer with these settings, and it really hits the clipper, so it actually affects the sound. If I take this off, actually I'm not going to take this off because we're going to go deaf. So, right, at this point, let's go here to the beginning. Let me just bypass. I'm actually not gonna bypass some sounds. I'm just gonna guide you through what I did because you know you're not gonna be able to get it. So I started making this one in the beginning, this little channel, and you might be asking like, why did I start by making all my devices inside the channel insert effects, inside this little slot right here? Because basically I wanted to have a parallel channel which doesn't have the effects. If I actually distorted the sound and started adding effects right after Thor, this would be copied to every single channel later. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted my effects to be on this channel so I could have a parallel channel with completely different effects. So what I did on my source channel, let's, call it that way. First of all, I added an EQ and then I automated it to have even more sweeps, even more movement. The cutoff frequency of 18 dB didn't really cut it for me, so I actually used both of them with exactly the same automation. So I made like an automation I liked, and then I simply copied it to the second parameter so I can have whatever 18 plus 18 gives us. I forgot how to math. So then it's Scream 4 destruction unit, distortion, but tape compression distortion. This actually distorts the sound. It makes it a little more crackly, if, insert adjective here. You can use the speed knob to control your highs at this point. You could use, if you want to make some muffled sounds. It's fun. And after that, these two things are maybe like the most important part of this bass. This is the bass choking. Now, bass choking is, I'm not really sure if it's actually officially called bass choking. It's the way I call it. You just push the bass frequencies and you send them through some sort of limit, ceiling, or whatever. I have turned off the limiter on the maximizer, so it basically just goes to the soft, straight to the soft level. Right, and because I have cranked up the the low frequencies, it creates some kind of choking that gives even more movement to the bass, which if I take out, I mean, if you're into that harsh sound, that may be your thing. Or depending which phrase you're on your track, you may want to not use bass choking. About there anyway. Now on to the second channel to show you exactly what I did and pretty much why I did it. This is a reverb channel. Right, and the reason I made this is because I wanted to be able to do this. And also, you might notice that all the channels have zero width, and that is because the audio you're listening right now is mono. I mean, the video, not from the channels, the video. If I turn this wide, you won't be able to hear it, so if I let it be wide, you won't be able to hear it, so I wanted to make a patch that you can actually make at home, and in fact, you could make it sound better just because it is stereo. If you're able to hear your reverb in stereo, it's going to be completely huge on your bass. So what I did here is I created even more bass choking, which is one way of distorting stuff because it's basically clipping the sound. But I didn't use the distortion in the beginning because I didn't want all these frequencies to be there, all that harmonic content to be there before the reverb, because reverb creates a mess of harmonics. After that, it's distortion and cutting off the lows, and then cutting off the lows again, and then cutting off some of the mids. But this is actually automated to be able to create, some movement. It's slight, but because you have this and the EQs before and some EQs afterwards, it stacks up to basically a talking bass line or whatever. Well, not a talking bass line, but to this. Now, I've sent these both channels. I mean, you can shift-click multiple channels to select them, right? Or control-click multiple channels. Shift is, from the one to the other, and control is adding just the ones you want. And after you've picked the sounds you want, all you have to do is click Control G. So, if you have two little channels, you can select them and go Control G, and on Control G it sends them as a new on a new bus. So what I did here is I've sent both these channels on a bus that has a vocoder. Now, the vocoder is on equalizer setting, but let's be honest, it's a vocoder. If I take it out, it sounds like this. It's much tighter, but I like it with the vocoder to make a little more mess. Insert adjective here as to how it morphs and shapes your bass line. I would call it crackling, I would call it squelchy, I would call it like whatever, doesn't matter. It sounds like a vocoder. Turning down the shift a little bit helps. I mean, that's the original sound. Right, you can start messing around with the shift. And then on an equalizer, I created more random automation, but this time it's different for each parameter. Because this is sent through tube distortion, which actually you need to make sure you set the parameters of what contour and bias to the right amounts you need. Because if you don't set these, if you don't tune these to the way you like, this is what you're gonna get. Right? You may get this harsh sound that is not really friendly to your low frequencies and so on and so forth. Now, because I have these cutoffs right before a distortion, and because these are cutoffs, mind you, to 2 more channels, it's a whole lot more intense, and it's audible. It's barely audible, but, well, not barely audible, but you get the main gist. If I take them out, it doesn't sound as good. While with them, it has a little more clearer movement. Right? Okay, so moving on. Now this channel is broken up, is sent again through this. This is actually a bus, so I simply selected one channel, which is a bus. I hit Control G, and it sent this bus into another bus. This channel into another channel. That's it. I just did it automatically, and Reason considers these 2 channels to be buses. Actually, this one too. Now, this one is just more bass choking, but instead of going for the lows, for the fundamentals of my bass, I went for these higher frequencies, a bit higher, which is around 100, 150 hertz. Right there, a little, maybe 100. I think it's 100 up here. Now, if I take these out, mind you, I still have bass choking going on again. I mean, listen to, I mean, it gets heavier. So depending on the style you're making things, and again, on the different instruments you have, you may want to cut off these frequencies, or you may want to boost it. I like it boosted. It makes it, you know, a little more, again, insert adjective here. It makes it a little more as if 100 hertz is boosted. That's the most accurate way I can put it. It sounds like 100 hertz has been boosted. So, again, reverb, because I seem to be in a reverb mood today. Again, this will sound pretty good if you had stereo channels. Blech. So, nothing special to it. Whole algorithm. I turned the size a little bit down to 18, just because it makes it a little shorter. Turn down the decay. Messed around with these two so that I don't get too many highs in. Yeah, because it makes kind of a mess, so, you know, it keeps it tighter this way. Doesn't make so much of a noise profile. Now, we're getting to the final part of designing the bass sound. Again, I took the more bass choke channel and the a little bit more reverb channel. Control G to pick them both. Well, Control click to pick them both, and Control G to send them on the bus, on an extra bus, which I named the bass bus. And here, I've done some things which you might want to call it flavoring. I mean, let me give you a listen without the effects I've put in. Right, and this is with. So, let me guide you through this. First of all, the frequencies around 5 kilohertz seem to be a little bitey. You know, this is the area where your ears are very sensitive. They resonate around 4.5, 5 kilohertz. Plus, I'm cheating because I have a spectrum analyzer. Yeah, but yeah, you get the main idea. And I boosted my 2.5K because I love my 2.5K. And then I haven't automated these. I just marked them so I remember that I need to talk about them. I've put the tape algorithm, which changes the sound, right, like this. If I max it out, it sounds like this. Right? It's interesting, right? But I really like this part. There, slightly wet, because it changes the sound. It for me it sounds tighter again. Adjectives. We're making music with adjectives. That's how we work. So, this Audiomatic, I put the bottom algorithm, and this is a little more technical because I know that the bottom algorithm actually compresses the bass frequencies. It's not a must, it just sounds better with it a little bit. Not entirely, because entirely kind of mangles it up. That was without, and this is with. It's boomy, and again, depending on your style, depending on how you want to make things, this might be your thing. It really wasn't mine. I just added a little bit. And then again, as I said, I love my 2.5K, so I just boosted it around, well, not 2.5, but 1.6. Yeah. This is just a slight boost, nothing special. If you're really careful, it just sounds better like this. So, you could be making music right now just with that. You could be using more automation, changing notes, whatever, doing your thing. No, or you could be doing all that kind of stuff. What I did is I bounced this whole thing into this phrase right here. Right? It sounds a little different because it's actually a little lower in volume. It's not as loud as this one. And remember I told you that everything we're making is going through a maximizer, which is clipping, with actually a limiter, which is clipping. This affects the sound. So the fact that that little part is quieter has a massive effect on its sound. I mean, if you listen to this compared to this, it sounds different slightly, but it sounds different. So to make this little part, that little part is actually, I think, the ending of the sound. I think it's this one, but it's reversed and it's pitched down to semitones. And the sound, the patterns I have here are actually chopped up. As you can see, it's not the initial sound. I can't remember exactly how I chopped it up. I'm going to leave that to you because resampling and rechopping and rearranging a pattern you make might lead you to interesting, patterns. There is sidechain compression going on. I am sidechaining my bass with the kicks, and this is how it looks, basically. Although, you should just, use your ears to adjust that. If you take off the sidechaining, it sounds like a mess, which actually I should show you. You see that the kick is a bedel. Bedel is a word now. You can see that the kick is a little lost, right? Compared to this. Yeah, it's a lot more audible. And for the final part, there's nothing special. It's just MIDI stuff. It's 2 more notes. Right? That I could be like this all day long. And then random automation of the filters, but I haven't used the EQs at all. at this part. You could as well. I just wanted to show you that if you're using this patch, you could also do short note stuff. This one is actually shorter than 1/64th. I made it shorter by turning off the snap. Right? So let's try turning these into tiny notes. Good times. Anyway, that was actually Seamless's slogan, motto. Good times. Hey, bass. Good times. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope to see you in your next video. Please excuse my English. I'm way too Greek for this, but I hope this helps you make some nice little basses, some cute little basses, some basses, that.